Good morning. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope this finds you healthy, happy, excited, giddy, goofy. Just killing it. It's the beginning of the week, and we should be doing great things. I'm more than a little bummed out. We missed the championship game. We did. After all of that, NCAA talk and all of that, excitement for the NCAA. March Madness, talking about it in my videos and filling out our brackets and all those nail biter games. We missed the championship game, and it turns out that it was a perfect reflection of how great this tournament has been, in that it is the single biggest comeback in NCAA history. So, bummer. Bummer. Congratulations, Jayhawks. I guess they are new national champions, and from what I understand, well deserved in the single biggest comeback ever. So, man, we missed a blowout, amazing, incredibly exciting game, and I'm more than a little bummed out about it. Yeah. So, these last few days, there's been a lot of chatter in my thread. I don't know if it's because of the algorithm or just, the current topic of conversation among sober people. But the chatter has been kind of hunkered around, if you will, for lack of a better term. California sober? Brand new term to me. I've never heard of this before, California sober. Back when I was first coming up, even my father and my father's friends, I remember them vividly talking about Mary Jane maintenance, or marijuana maintenance was another term that I've heard. I do know people that have employed that method in their sobriety journey, and I'm not putting quotes around it to lessen their sobriety journey. I'm specifically just trying to highlight that this is one method. I guess many people have found success in. There, that's it. And I would not lessen anybody's success. It's not for me to judge. It's not for me to point fingers. It's not for me to cast aspersions. It's simply for me to support and encourage anybody's journey in sobriety. That noted, California sober, what I know to be Mary Jane maintenance or marijuana maintenance as a method of sobriety. For me personally, you should know up front, and I don't know that I've ever discussed it completely here on the videos, or put this out into the ether. I put nothing in my system. I just don't. I don't. I drink water. I've found that some juices are just amazing that I didn't even know about. When I came into sobriety, that opened me up to so many amazing things. I had no idea that I had this massive passion for astronomy and looking at the stars, and I'm good at it. I'm really good at looking at the stars, knowing the constellations, finding the planets and telescopes, yada yada yada. Shared that with my kids. These are the kinds of things that sobriety did for me. It opened up my mind to new flavors, new juices, new foods, new things like that. I really threw myself into a lot of these newfound passions and things that made me excited. And all of that's because I've, gone away from other things. When I was getting sober, these were kind of the things that I put myself into to kind of, I don't even know if I'd say it was a distraction as much as taking this away opened up that door, if that makes any sense. When I was practicing, I was stealing all kinds of stuff. I stole medication from my father. I stole my father's cancer medication, and I was using that. I won't get into specifics, but you can imagine that there's some pretty hefty medications that I was playing around with. Even before my father's cancer diagnosis, he lived with rheumatoid arthritis and a couple of other medical conditions, and some of the pain medications that he was using, I was stealing and I was abusing those, and then I would find them outside of my father's medicine cabinet, steal money to get them, etc., etc. So when I first came into sobriety, I had I had some things that I had to own up to, and some truths that I had to take ownership of, and abusing prescription medications was one of those things. So to this day, I put nothing in my system without my wife's 100% knowledge. That means aspirin, I won't take it. Tylenol, Advil, something as simple as an Arius for an allergy or a stuffy nose or what have you. Without my wife's knowledge, I don't take them. That's just that. That's how it is. I put nothing into my system. Going forward, it should be noted that in the last 2 years, not only have we lived through this global pandemic, but cannabis has become legal in Canada federally. I believe we're only the second country globally to recognize the legalization of cannabis and cannabis products at a federal level. At the beginning of the pandemic, one of our dearest, closest family friends got hit with the virus. So their whole house was on lockdown. We did what we could. We brought over some care packages, as you know, communities do for each other. And I said, "Is there anything I can do for you?" My friend asked that I might be able to sprout some seeds for him, as you know, he had just gotten these seeds in and he wanted to sprout some seeds, cannabis. I was all too happy to do it. I had done that when I was a younger man. It didn't really fly in the face of anything I'm doing as far as sobriety is concerned, and it actually sounded kind of fun, you know, in the middle of a lockdown, give us something to do. Turns out my son Joshua and myself are really, really good at doing this stuff, and we started a little Instagram account to kind of chart our progress, etc., etc., etc. Add to that part of the story, my wife Sarah, living with multiple sclerosis for some 25 plus years now. Probably 10 years in, her mother had suggested she try cannabis because her mother's own research, or looking into things for her daughter's sake, if you will, indicated to her that many people had found a lot of success using cannabis products with multiple sclerosis. My wife wasn't having any of it. Sarah was not interested in the least. Nobody in our house has ever used it. Nobody in our house wanted to use it. I was the only person that had any experience with it, and I gave that up probably a year and a half before I gave up drinking. Jump ahead. It's now the middle of a pandemic. We're growing this stuff in the house. We're really, really good at growing it, and we're having a lot of fun doing it. I'm doing it for friends specifically. Sarah comes up with the idea that she might like to do some baking with it. So we did. We did some baking with it. And again, we're really, really good at this, it turns out. She decided to try it. Changed everything for her. It changed everything. I will happily report to you that in the 2 years that, Sarah has, she's actually only used it for about the last 8 months, but in the 2 years that we've been doing this stuff, like growing it, it's really changed the whole landscape of her approach with her multiple sclerosis. She finally broke down and gave it a try. I think 10 months ago was the first time she tried it, and that was in a baked cookies that we made. Changed everything for her. In that time that's come forward, she's now gone to smoking. She'll smoke a joint once, maybe twice a day, a few times a week, not much more. And she has, I'll say this, we cleaned the gutters last spring, and when we cleaned the gutters, she got up on a ladder and she was inspecting my middle son's work. I have not seen my wife on a ladder, period. I can't tell you the last time I seen her willing to get up on a ladder, to climb over the bed of the truck and, clean twigs and leaves out of the bed of the truck. She did all the landscaping in our backyard and in our front yard. It has changed everything for her. So, is there a benefit to cannabis? I absolutely 100% believe that there is. And it turns out genetically that there are connections in my wife's own family where cannabis and cannabis products have definitely benefited members of her family. And that genetic connection is unmistakable for me as a third generation person in recovery. There's my part of the story. Not only are we growing it for my wife, but it's definitely benefiting her. Has that affected me in my sobriety? No. I still won't even take Advil without my wife's knowledge. I just can't do that for myself. As somebody who abused prescription medications, alcohol, recreational drugs, I know my capacity to abuse just about anything that gives me pleasure or release, if you will. I have abused it all and will continue to if given, if I give myself the freedom to do so. So I have to be accountable to that end. That's how I live. That's how my sobriety has to be. I've been blessed with the ability to employ mixology skills and now, as you know, I'm growing cannabis for my wife. It's a fine line for me, I guess. Having said that, though, can I judge other people for it? Absolutely not. I'll close out with this idea as I close in on looks like the 12-minute mark here. I put up at the front of the video a number of different times that I wholly and completely believe that recovery is a journey that's as unique to each of us as our fingerprints. I believe that. We all find our own way. I can tell you from my own experience, without fear of contradiction, that there is a world of difference between living completely clean and sober, free of any mind-altering and mood-changing substance, and playing the game with padding. Take that for what it's worth. Am I judging anybody? No, not at all. I firmly believe that we all journey on our own. We all have different strengths. We all have different weaknesses. I cannot play games with any of this kind of stuff. I just can't. But there it is, right? There's a world, an ocean of difference between the game of hockey or the game of football, where you wear padding all over your body, and basketball or rugby, where you don't wear any padding at all. That's how I've always kind of drew that line, if you will. And for me, I'm taking on life on life's terms, free of any padding. That's how I have to do it. I have to. That's the only way I can live with myself. That's how I get to sleep at night. Life on life's terms, free of any padding, any filters. That's how I have to do it. Does that make me better than anybody? I don't think so. I really don't believe so. Many is the time where I've often wished that I could successfully use something, but I can't. I just can't. I have to take it on full on, free of anything every day of my life. I just have to. That's the only way I can live with myself. And there is an ocean of difference between life on life's terms and wearing some padding. I don't know if that's even the correct way to describe it, but that's just how I see it. And with that, I'm going to say thanks. I'm cheering you guys on. Don't even know if this one makes any sense, but there it is, man. It's in the books. And I got a busy day ahead of me, man. So I love you guys. I'm cheering you on. It works, friends. if we work it one day at a time. Take care. Bye.